Woo!
Okay, thanks guys. Welcome to today's Monetizers event. Today we have a chat with an expert, and we have an amazing investor, friend, and advisor, Richard Gatchalian. We'll be having topics about sales and at early stage startups. And this is a great moment for every one of us to ask clubhouse type of Q&A questions to Richard. Richard, we're looking for hands-on advice to uncover practical advice, your thinking, guidance, unwritten tasks and stories that you have done to unlock our greatness. And this is a great moment that every one of our team members can ask the questions. So let me introduce our main guest. Richard is our advisor, investor, and dear friend. Richard has helped Martins specifically close first P&G deals. So he's the front face of our success, sitting somewhere in the background. Richard is go-to-market expert, and he's sales expert, the sales expert, I can say. He personally has scaled multiple multi-billion-dollar startups from Zoom, Blue Jeans, Agora, Theta, amongst many others. At Zoom, he was employee number 8. He helped to get first millions in sales, helped to build Zoom's sales organization, and get to Zoom where it is today. We're having a conversation here, right? Richard has invested in and advised multiple early stage startups, both in gaming, blockchain, B2B SaaS, and marketplace categories, including monetizing. As a sales expert, he has helped companies to uncover customer problems, identify champions, and help them to close first $1 million in sales. Richard is coming from marine background, from aircraft rescue and firefighting, and he has 2 lovely dogs, and he's living in California. Richard, did I miss anything?
No, thanks so much for the intro, and very nice to meet you, everybody.
It's awesome to have you. So how we will run the show? So first of all, I'll kick it off with some warm-up questions, and then allow everyone to jump in and ask these questions again. This session will be recorded. I'll post it in a private chat to our team and upload to YouTube if the content will allow us to do so. So Richard, let me ask super simple question. What's your favorite mobile game?
My favorite mobile game? It's the one I've been playing it for a long time, which is the Marvel Contest of Champions. I've been playing it for, oh my goodness, since I was at Zoom. That's
wow. Okay.
Yeah, I still play it. So I have about 7 or 8 games, and I'm constantly trying things out, whether it's competitive fighting games, sports games, or building strategy games.
So always being on top. Every time we have conversations, and those are typically during night, Richard introduced multiple new sales tools. Question here, Richard, is it something that you have natural curiosity of figuring out what are the next tools and use them to your advantage in the sales process? And what do you do, and how do you uncover these tools from day-to-day basis, from playing cool games to uncovering new tech that helps to do the note takers during chat, upvote emojis and stuff like that? So.
For me, what I normally do, right? Since I look at sales, right? I'm continuously learning. I'm a student of the game, and so I'm always looking for ways, right? Whether it's I pick up best practice from other salespeople that I don't even know. I'm something different.
Yeah.
But I'm also looking at tools. I'm always testing tools out as well to see if it's relevant, to see if this is something that I can add to my arsenal, so to say, and then also if I can see it, where it's going to help me, right, get to what I need to accomplish at in sales, and it's also going to help my team, right, be much more productive or help them accelerate their close ratio.
Yeah, and what I've noticed from our conversations is that every single tool that I'm using, from from Zoom Info to Fireflies to some this background thing that adds the text on top of it. You seem to know everything. How do you happen to find time to do that? Because you have to,
It's just it's just a national, it's just really curiosity, right? And I'm constantly talking to other, sales leaders or other, peers within my network, and I'm always asking, what type of, what tools are you guys using now today, right? Why are you using it? How does it compare, right? I'm constantly asking, and then from then I, now want to check it out and play around with it, test it, right? Yeah, it's just it's just a natural curiosity.
awesome. So from games to tools. But let me
Yeah,
ask
yeah, because
one more.
if I'm interested in something, right, I want to continue to, you know, learn it, pick it up, right? And I know with technology, right, it's always evolving, and same thing with the sales process, it's always evolving. Customers are smarter, information is easily available. So, and so you're looking for ways now, right, to how do you make yourself stand out, or how do you get to those potential buyers at a faster rate compared to, say, if I'm competing with in a competitive market, right? How do I get in front of them faster than my competition?
That makes sense.
And then also make a lasting impression to them, right? So then that particular customer remembers me.
I remember one of your first advice that once we had the conversation, when I looked through the notes when I was preparing for the call, the first advice was Zoom background, and I remember how you use that to the advantage to start the meeting and conversations. Could you maybe explain how these maybe either Zoom background or other tools helped you to close the first deal back when you joined Zoom, or if you remember that first deal ever?
Yeah. I mean, and so keep in mind, it wasn't a virtual background initially what we had. So what we did is we went, to a website. I forgot what the website, and what it is. It's a giant, high resolution scenic poster, right? It was a giant sticker. We put it on the wall, and so we always had to play with the camera, because once the camera sets in, you want to make sure it captures it, not the outside. So we always had to play with it. So we didn't have the virtual background like the way it is today. And so once we did that, what we started seeing, it was an automatic icebreaker, right? Where we invite someone to the meeting, or like, oh, that's cool. It was just the customer started engaging right from the get-go. And it wasn't, it really allowed us to build that bond, that get that customer comfortable, and that really helped us form build that trust and that relationship at a faster rate compared to to other customers. But then once we started adding the virtual background, it accelerated the deals at a faster rate. And even with the screen, right, with the sticker that we had, it was helping us accelerate it as well. But once we were able to do the virtual background, what we were doing is we were putting the customer's company logo. So we personalized it and tailored it to the customer, whichever company that we were meeting. That's the background that we had. So we would look stuff on the internet. Okay, we're meeting with Hilton. I'm gonna find a golf course in Hilton, see if they identify it, right? And once they identify it, and then it's just really opened things up. And that's where we knew it helped us, right? Especially with decision makers, right? It helped us build credibility right from the get-go, because it was personalized to them.
And to the extent, when you joined the company and it's an early stage, you joined after Zoom raised seed, and what was the product back then? And keeping in mind that we are building our own product as well,
Right.
how to balance between what do you need to build, like this background, which you have essentially tested it out, which was not built through code, and then how did you validate features like that essentially became critical to the part of the product later in the days?
Yeah. So with Zoom early on, it was bare bones, right? Meaning we didn't have the feature set like fast forward like the way it is today. So what Eric did, the founder, was really build a video first platform. Compared to WebEx, WebEx was more of a screen sharing and you got voice, and it wasn't built with video in mind. And that's one thing that we knew from we had a really great, amazing foundation product in video, which stood out compared to the rest. And he also envisioned that, hey, everybody's going to be everybody's going to be mobile, right? So we need a video technology that will easily adapt to the available bandwidth of each user device, whether it's mobile, whether it's tablet, whether it's laptop, everybody's going to be on the go, right? And again, very foundation and no feature set. So yeah, and that helped us from a demo perspective. And then he also focused on the customer ease of use, right? So he made it very, very easy, because that was the big challenge, the big problems in the industry at the time. And how the roadmap came about was really, listening to each one of the customers, right? We constantly ask for feedback as far as, what's working, what can we do better, and really, get that feedback into the different verticals that we focus on. And so initially focus on SMB, startups, smaller companies, and then we focus on education. So we constantly ask for feedback in the different users in a different department, because each one had a different need. Because what we saw was a company, a big company or a university are using 5 to 6 different collaboration platforms, right? They weren't just using one, because because each department had a different use case, had a different workflow, and so we needed to be able to, address those. And so by seeing that and working department by department and understand the different workflows of each department, we were able to really accumulate,
Yeah.
all the capabilities of all those platforms into one. And then that's where, it really helped Zoom capture the education market.
And when you're talking about listening to the customers, it's not like customer needs to say out loud in the words that I need this function. What you're referring to is listening and looking into the data, looking into the behavior, looking that this education system or school, they used all 5 different tools. So essentially listening to the customer means, yes, going to the conversation, listening out and hearing them out, saying their problems, but then how do they uncover why it matters to them? And how did you do back in early days? Again, like 10 people at Zoom, right? You have sales guys and there's tech guys. How did you take these knowledge, or how did you make sure that everyone on the team is on the same page about what is important and what needs to be built next?
Yeah. So what we did, there's a couple things that we did. One is, we really brought the product team, or we had a representative as one of our executives. Sometimes it'll be Eric, our founder, and sometimes it'll be Nick, and he acted as the product guy, marketing guy, who would jump on the call, or one of our architects, to be able to listen in on the workflow, right? So we try to document it as much as we can, so you have it from the sales side, and then you have it on the the technical, on the product side. So we always had those team members, when it was time, to be able to listen, what type of capabilities, right? What type of features, unique features that particular company needed, enable for them to fully deploy Zoom. And of course, as you mentioned, right, we also had data. We also, we could see what their usage, how long, how active, how many meetings a day, right? If we see that they're not using it as much, right, we would go back to those customers and try to identify what's happening, or the reason why they're not using it as much. And that's where, we have the data for that as well. So, it's a combination, right? We have the data for, to be able to see it. And then you have team members, and then, and then also, the product team would come all together to be able to hear it.
Okay. Guys, I'll after this question, I'll open up questions to you so that otherwise I can ask. I can speak with Richard for 4 hours straight. so,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of things going on. But Richard, let me ask the last question and then open up to the team members. When you mentioned you were going SMBs in the beginning, how did you identify which personas? Because there's many buyers. There's technical buyer, there's sales buyer, there's marketing buyer. And how did you just juggle between their needs? Because technical buyer needs technical need, buyer maybe needs some other needs. And those come as a feature requests. Or how did you balance it out and communicate within a team and prioritize that?
Yeah, what we did, right? We also, at the beginning, we had to, we were also learning, right, at the beginning. So, but part of our strategy was we knew we weren't at that stage in 2013, we weren't ready for enterprise. So we didn't go, top and bottom, we went bottom up approach. So it gave our product time to, to catch up to those specific feature requirements and security requirements as well once we scale up. But at the same time, we knew that in going with the smaller, the SMB market or startup market, right? They didn't have the feature expectations. Saying, I mean, education was a little bit different, but we were running into it as well. But they were much more patient with us in working with us, so then they can adopt us and we can scale. And so that's kind of like what we did. And let's see, hold on. I just want to make sure I'm able to answer all your questions. What else was part of it?
So technical buyer personas.
Yeah.
So,
okay. So the technical buyer. Yeah. So what we did, SMB, SMB startup, it wasn't as much of a technical expectation or, from a technical buyer. It was more of, how easy it is to use, right? And once we were able to overcome that, and that's part of the reason why Eric built it compared to the other compared to the other players at that time, the product spoke for itself, right?
Yeah.
Because whether they're using WebEx, and we knew the challenges in WebEx, and once they used Zoom, they were like, oh my goodness, right? It was a big difference. Same thing with Polycom, everybody. So SMB and startup was very easy. It wasn't as the technical, but it was more on the educational side that we did run into education. And so what we did is we say, hey, let's do a POC. Let's focus, because we don't have ABC capabilities that you're looking for, but certain team members don't have that level of feature request expectation. So at least we can address this for now while we work on add those product capabilities that you're looking for in our roadmap, so that we can scale more. Right? And that when we were engaged with IT, director of IT, CIOs, name it, those are the the individuals or the personas that we were working with to be able to get that buy-in, for them to be able to say, hey, you know what, this is okay for now, and knowing that the team is working, right? So we, just being able to build that trust from them, right? Knowing that we're going to add these particular capabilities helped us. And what we did is by doing POCs, short POCs, right? And many times paid POCs. It's like, for these particular use case that we were able to, accomplish. And that was something that's also solving a problem that they had. So, we were able to focus on those for now while we continue to evolve.
So it's essentially getting the deer in the
getting the product to them and letting them use it, so then they can see, it's like, hey, this is better than what we're currently using right now. Yes, it's lacking some certain capabilities that certain departments are looking for, but at least we found a solution that's willing to work with us, listen to us, and will also eventually help us replace 4 or 5 other platforms that we're currently using, and each one of them, right, IT is managing. So now we're able to consolidate everything. So the bigger picture is we're going to help consolidate,
Yeah.
their tools into one, which, from an ROI and value add, that was a big thing for them.
So that's what you did, like essentially that was the vision selling in the beginning,
At
and
the
just
beginning,
walking
yeah.
with the POC,
Yeah.
getting the door open and just
Yeah,
making
yeah,
sure you
and
deliver
then
on
just
it.
trying to overcome that, because knowing that we didn't have those capabilities at the beginning,
Yeah.
right? And so, yeah, we got a lot of no's, as well, right? Because it's like, no, well, you got to come back to us when you guys have those capabilities. But what we did is we tracked everything, meaning this is what they're looking for, and we came back to them. But that's where in some instances that we did run into those situations, but we came back, or they came back to us once we made the announcement, and they eventually became our customers.
Yeah. Okay, let me open up the questions for others, and I see Martin's is already. I see in his eyes question already.
No, like actually, like you already kind of talked a little bit about some of the questions that I wanted to ask, but generally, I'm just curious also regarding the same thing, regarding like match, like you probably had some like roadmap that was kind of like a vision where you wanted the product to be, right? And then I assume that the tech team was working towards that roadmap, and I'm
Right.
just trying to understand, how did you manage or how did you kind of like adjust the roadmap on the go when you potentially had a bigger client that was maybe that was requesting a certain feature, and how was the roadmap versus this new feature? How did you continuously manage that? Because I assume that you had many conversations going at the same time, and with different these target personas, and you were also testing them, and one target persona wants this, the other one wants this, the other one wants this, and then I feel like
so we did prioritize it, and a lot of them were were requested, and we would look at we would look at, I mean, we tally them based on, right, the opportunities that we created on what was the most demanded capabilities, and meaning features. And then so we would prioritize it based on that. And we would look at how many opportunities we have, what were the deal sizes, so we know what we needed to prioritize. And also same thing with customers, right? What were, who were the customers? Because now, what doors can they open for us once we add these particular capabilities, right? So we weighed those things out, all, while prioritizing the features, but then we also gave ourselves buffer, and just really setting that expectation to each one of these customers as well, right? And so we would get creative in the meantime. It's like, hey, I know you're looking for this particular feature, but this particular feature is is a month out, right? In the meantime, right, here are some of the things that we can address now immediately that you can take advantage, and will be of great value to you and your team, and give you that ROI, right? You guys are using 3 different platforms right now, and look at the cost factor on that, and look at the cost that we're coming in, which will help you save you some money, and then 2, help you consolidate it, which will save your your team time as well, right? But yeah, we're going to continue to work with you, and here's the schedule for it.
and then just like quick follow-up question on that, and did you, within the team, did you have like weekly meetings or something like that, where you kind of evaluated those opportunities?
Yeah, at times it seemed like we were having daily meetings. The roadmap was fast, right? Where our team was, in some instance, right, able to add a capability depending on how simple and complex it is, right? As fast as like a week, right? And in some instance, because we knew it was something that we needed that was going to help us significantly, help us like integrate with the Cisco video conferencing hardware endpoints, right? Because they use SIP. And so, our engineering team put in some crazy hours over the weekend, and by Monday, we had the capability, right? In some instance. So, knowing that, this particular feature is a game breaker, it's going to open up many, many more doors for us. Our team did an amazing job in being able to prioritize those versus the cosmetic ones, right? Versus the little features. And that's, I think, really, help us from there, because we knew at the, certain, our team identified which ones are the main features that we needed to get versus the little ones. The little ones were, it could be a simple button move here, or, I mean, those were just little buttons, all cosmetics, but the big ones is what our team really focused on.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks. Valentin, you had your hand went up first. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes. So the question is, like, now we know Zoom, like everyone is using this, and like where you started, what was your goal? Did you expect that it will go this far? And the next question is, like, of course there were some difficulties, obstacles in the way to get there. So can you please mention some of them, or like tell how it was?
Yeah, sure. No, great questions. At the beginning, we knew we were in a very, very competitive marketplace, competitive, situations, right? Blue Jeans was 4 years ahead of us. They had the momentum. But, our team, did a lot of homework, right, in the market, talking to different CEOs, just really trying to get a good understanding of what the market needed, even all the way to, choosing which particular video codec, right? Because at the time too, WebRTC was already getting the buzz, VV8, VV9, which Google uses. And so, our team needed to decide what particular, codec to use. And so with the amount of homework that they did and what we wanted to do, and also, weighing the pros and cons of it, we were able to select our own codec and went away from, to WebRTC, which fast forward, that really was a game changer for us, right? And it was challenging. It wasn't easy. We were getting laughed at. A lot of the partners of our competitions were telling us we're not going to be around. We're running out of money. What else? We're a Chinese company. We're not secured. I mean, just name it. Every single thing that you can hear and imagine, right? We heard it, right? And so what we did, this is really the makeup of the team, of the persona of the team. We use every single one of those messages. We posted it on the wall, and it drove us. It motivated us, right? We let the product and our customers do the talking. We work very, 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 very hard. We committed to it, right? Especially the core team. We knew that for the next 4 years or 4.5 years, we need to commit. And the only way, right, to really accelerate this was, to commit. And that's something that every team member decided to do, is just put our egos aside and let's go ahead and commit to it. And so, and that's, I mean, if I told you how many hours that we were working, you would probably go, oh my goodness. But it didn't feel like work, because we had a great culture. We had a great, humble leader who was open, and just wanted to win. And that really helped us, build that culture, as well as, the team were, we were just, again, it didn't feel like work. I was putting in a lot of crazy hours on top of my 4 to 5 hours of commute on a daily basis. So, but it's a sacrifice, right? I mean, it's, we knew competitive space, we also knew we had a window, and so we wanted to capture that window as fast as we can. Yeah, so yeah, sacrifice to the family, sacrifice to everything, right? I mean, that was something that each one of us at the time, I talked to my wife, letting her know I'm going to need to commit, and it's going to be a lot of long hours and time committed to this company for the next 4 years. So, she was on board, and that was it. Once my family said you're good, I put in whatever necessary time, because I knew we had something special. Because even at the beginning, when I interviewed at the company, one thing that stood out for me was like, we have something here, right? The tech, a humble leader, the team. It was something special and unique. And the other guy who interviewed, we interviewed together. We ended up being the first 2 salespeople. We met for lunch right after the interview, and both of us were talking about, wow, the potential, right? What if? A lot of the what if. And but one thing that we came out of it is like, if we gave it all we got, we both are forever part of the Zoom history. And that was something bigger, right? It was something bigger for us. So when we leave the company, we're still going to be part of the Zoom history. So that's where both of us committed to each other. It's like, hey, if we work together, we're going to put our egos aside and we're going to do whatever it takes. And that was our theme, right? Whatever it took. So when I asked Eric, at that time in 2013, what our go-to-market was, he said, I want to be number 1. And at that point, we just said, hey, we're all in. So, yeah. So I hope that answers your questions.
Thanks so much for sharing.
Also
Inspiring.
answered the next question about like, why do you succeed? Why? And you answered also this one. So,
yeah. For me, I'm a naturally very, very competitive person. It's also been with I mean, and that's the reason why I really like sales, because there's no way, there's really, you can't take any shortcuts from it, right? It's just the more you work, the more that you're going to be successful. And that's also part of the reason too why I'm constantly, right, when I'm taking breaks in between, I'm playing games, because it has that competitiveness to it. It's a different type of competitiveness. I'm taking a break, but allows me to continue it. And I love being the underdog, and that's part of the reason why I love working with startups, because startup is the ultimate underdog as well, right? Where the odds are already against you, meaning 9 out of 10 don't make it. And then on top of that, the market that you're going after, you have some big established companies there that you're going to be competing with, right? With less resources, meaning you don't have the resources, you don't have the people, you don't have the tools, you don't have the fun. Everything is stacked up against you. And I like that. And that's really, part of the reasons why, you can kind of see why it attracted me to Zoom, where competitive space, everything's against you, right? So I see it more like, hey, this is, a sports team, you're building from the ground up, or it could be, myself in the military, right? Yeah, you have a special forces. Now you have to, win, right? You have to go against a big army. How do you do it? So that's the part where it's the ultimate challenge, and and I think that is what attracts me to it.
Thank you, Richard. Ivars, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Nice to see you again, Richard. Long time no see you.
Yeah, thanks.
The question for me is pretty much the same as Martin. I just want to one more question asked additionally. So about product feature prioritization. So I don't want to talk abstract. I want to give you a like real like example. For example, let's say we have like a few deals on the table that are, let's say, whatever, 1 million, but there is one deal coming in the way which will be like 5 times the size of these, like 1 million, let's say 5 million. But it requires to add some feature in order to push the needle, and it totally like I would say like for developers, they don't have any time left to other projects, only to develop this feature. So that's mean if in order to get this 5 million deal, it means total paralyzing product team. So how you would actually prioritize the thing? So would you postpone the deal, like this 5 million deal, or what would you do?
No, I wouldn't postpone the deal. There's no way I would postpone any deal, right? It's just, to me, I would just set the proper expectation, to that deal, and then also, get, Andres and Martin involved. It's like, look what's at stake as well. So then you're able to prioritize it, right? And so you got to weigh in as far as the deals. Look at the deals, kind of like what we did at Zoom, where we were assessing how many opportunities are on hold because they have a particular feature, right? If we get this particular feature added, how many deals, are we able to win at that point, right? And that's, something that, at Zoom, we pretty much talked on a daily basis on that. And so the team was constantly on top of what's coming and what's not coming and the timing, so that we can communicate it properly to the customers. And also, once we added that particular capability, it's like, hey, this is a win against, it could be against Blue Jeans. And so then once we added it, then we would start doing some outreach and campaigns against that particular competitor in which we added that particular capability. Right? Yeah, if you have a deal at that scale, to me, right, I would get everybody involved to make sure that you fully understand as far as this is what it's going to take, and you have that in verbal, in writing from the customer as well, as far as this is specifically feature, right? Everybody have decision makers all involved on, meaning on both sides, right? More importantly, the customer saying, hey, yes, we will sign up. Then I would just say, hey, let's go ahead and add it to the contract and put it in there that we're going to get it done. And and once we sign the contract, we're going to go ahead and accelerate it, right? But I mean, those are some of the things I would do if that is what's at stake. A similar thing that we did where we knew the open opportunities, and we also knew the most common features, and so we knew what, how to prioritize it. And if we do get that one off, saying, hey, this is, it's a $500,000 deal or whatever, right? It, versus a $10,000 deal, we're gonna need to really review that bigger deal to make sure it is the real thing, and make sure, we have everybody, all the stakeholders on both sides. Yeah. So, sorry guys.
Thank you, Philip. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hi, Richard. So nice to meet you. So
Yeah.
my
Sorry
question
about that.
would, yeah, my question
Hi,
would be
Philip.
about, hi. My question would be about scalability. So I have seen in the past many startups getting past the seed round, and they formed a team. Let's say it's 10 people. They have a product plan, they have a roadmap, they have everything ready, and they have first customers. And they are so involved in all the feature war of serving those first customers. I see they have no ability to find the timing for growth. So they are running out of money before they are scaled up. So I really would love to understand, like, what was your breakout moment from that kind of small team, and you understood it's the right timing to grow your business operations, right timing to scale the team, right? So I would love to know like exactly like how you see that. Is there some metrics maybe for that, and you went for all in?
Yeah, at Zoom we were. I mean, it's a great question, and I've seen it where you got companies, startup as you mentioned at seed, where it's like, hey, we're gonna hire 10 salespeople, right? Without a proper strategy and market validation. I've seen that. At Zoom, what we did was when we initially, went live, we had a head of sales and you had 2 salespeople, so 3, right? And we kept it very, very lean as long as we can, because as you mentioned, funding, right? And we needed to keep it tight. And I like that approach because while you're doing that, right, it also helps, it's not taking too much on the burn, on the financials, the impact, but at the same time, you needed to find, meaning team members who would be able to fit in and contribute right away. And so it's a critical hire, right? And because if you don't make the right decision, it can impact you negatively as well. So and that's why at the beginning, it's just you have to do more due diligence, whether it's getting more team members, right, to part of your interview process, to get involved. It really, what helped us was we were very, very lean, and I like that approach better versus jumping into it with with way too many people at the beginning. And it's especially based on the round that you're in, and also based on the funding that you receive. If you're in seed, you don't have that, most likely you didn't raise that much capital, from the beginning. So I'd rather wait until the A round or the B round, right, to help scale it, because at that point you have more market validation, and now you're able to to scale it and repeat it. So that I mean that that's what I learned during my time at Zoom, and I also repeated it when I became a sales leader working on the go-to-market for Agora, right? Where I was, I was slowly adding salespeople into the different regions globally. And it wasn't like, hey, we needed to add 10 people all at once. It was just more of like, let's add one at a time. Let's take the time to find the right one. And we knew what characteristics that we were looking for in the persona of that particular, the ideal, person to be able to join the company, especially at the beginning. So yeah, and I've seen it work as well when, during my time at Agora, because they use the same method.
And Richard, you have repeated Zoom's experience at multiple companies. And that is so fascinating, that all this advice is, yes, we speak about Zoom, but it's so much applicable to all the companies where you've been part of Agora, building the gaming team, Blue Jeans, how you differentiated against Zoom.
Against Zoom, yeah.
That's fascinating. But let's leave that to the next conversation when we'll invite you back again. One last question is, what qualities stood out from founders and from Monetizer's product that made you invest in Monetizer?
Yeah, that's a great question. When I initially talked to Andres and Martin, what I was looking for was, is someone that I can work with, someone who is transparent, someone who is okay, right, with feedback, constructive feedback, right? That was something that I was, looking for from a founder perspective, because if they are, if I see those elements and I know the value add that I can come in and help, and also I was looking for, if Andres and Martin was able to do that, then I can, for me, right, then I can see that, this is, a team that I can trust. I can see from, the conversations that we had at the beginning that they were very, very humble. And that was important to me, because when I worked with Eric, right, he was also a humble leader, very, very smart, understood the market, right, but yet at the same time humble. And what was important was, really building a great culture from the team, because if you have humble leaders, it's kind of set the tone for the culture and the makeup of the team, and that's something that I saw in Andres and Martin. And that's what at that point it was just like, hey, it was a no-brainer. And I really like the technology as far as what Andres and Martin have built. And gaming was definitely a big interest of mine, but also part of the focus was on the brand, so I knew that was something that I worked with in the past before. So adding by having those two, I definitely understood it, I saw it, but more importantly is just really being able to build that relationship with Andres and Martin allowed me to, really, have that trust, and know that, I'll be able to work with Andres and Martin, right, the team, right, and I think that was more important to me. I knew it was, they built a great product from the beginning. It was, it was early. There was, early momentum. But more importantly, it's just the relationship and transparency, the humbleness of Andres and Martin is what really attracted me to the company.
Thank you so much, Richard. On the official part, let me thank you for being here. I love the energy and the passion and the emotion in a couple of questions that you shared. That was really, really special moment. I love that we have it on record, so we can review that, some of the answers here, because you laid out some of the basic qualities that startups need to do in order to succeed. And this is a great path for us to build $1 billion business. And thanks so much for sharing your advice here. This was chat with Richard on sales at early stage for startups. Recording out. Thank you, Richard.
All right, thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your time.